What's up YouTube? Jared RedRacer video bringing you another video today. Hey, this is another video, guys, that was spurred by somebody reaching out to me through social media and asking the question, what modifications should I do to my car? So I always tell you guys in the comments down below, make sure you leave questions, make sure you tell me which direction you want the channel going, or at RedRacer video on Instagram, at RedRacer video on Facebook. Look us up. You can reach out to me through there, and if you ask me the right question, I just might make a video about it. Real quick, I know there's a few people that have already made these videos, but I've watched them, and not to say that I didn't like them, but I didn't necessarily agree with them. So today, Jared and RedRacer videos take on what modifications you should do to your 6th gen Camaro. A lot of the stuff will apply to 5th gen Camaro, so I'm just gonna call it what modifications you should do to your Camaro, but we're doing it right now. All right guys, here's where I'm gonna start this out. We're gonna go with the easy stuff, right? Everybody knows cold air intakes. Should they do them? Absolutely. The bang for your buck is amazing. My recommendation is Roto-Fab. I've seen the best gains from those. I like the way it looks the best, and as far as like the quality of people, I don't think there are better people out there. Roto-Fab and the people there just seem to be amazing people, super helpful, they know what they're doing, and I like the intakes a lot. Like I said, the gains there are solid, 15 to 35 horsepower. I've seen it vary all over the place. Obviously temperature, DA, the fuel being used, all those things go into play. But for the price, and it's, you know, depending on where you're buying it and the sale pricing and all that, let's call it 400 bucks, 450, whatever it is. That's a very solid gain on your car. It does not demand tuning. You will gain more by tuning it, but it doesn't require tuning. And it is a super decent install as far as if you're doing it yourself. It's very good gains. It's gonna make the underhood look a lot better. Your engine compartment's just really gonna gain from it. So cold air intake, one of the obvious questions I get, I'm gonna say yes, absolutely, that's a solid modification. Little asterisk to that, depending on what you're gonna do down the road, you may have to change things up with that. I don't have Roto-Fab in my car anymore because now we're twin turbo and it just doesn't work with the twin turbo setup. So I don't have it on my car. I did have it on my car previously though, and I would definitely run it again in the event that I was naturally aspirated or, you know, Magnuson supercharged or whatever it might be. Next thing, guys, and I've heard a lot of people go both ways on this, and I've heard one of my guys that I watch a lot actually say that he doesn't like this. I'm gonna 180 degree flip on him and say that I totally disagree, but ported throttle bodies, guys, I think that's a very good modification. It's like 350 bucks, 10 wheel horsepower, 10 foot-pounds of torque. I've seen it dynoed numerous times at JDP, and it almost always makes about that. You know, we could call it 8 if we want to be real technical, because I've seen them only make like 8. But typically it's like 8 to 15 horse at the wheel, 8 to 15 horse and torque at the wheels, and it's a super easy install. It's 4 bolts and a couple of clamps. You plug it in, you take off, and the car is good to go. More than the power though, guys, it's throttle response. You get very improved throttle response. So I love ported throttle bodies. VMax is the one I like. JDP retails those. There'll be a link in the description to get one, but I like ported throttle bodies a lot. Intakes, your ported intakes. I know Prey Porting's doing a lot of that stuff and you can gain a lot there. I do like that. You are gonna wanna tune for that one. There's just a lot of increased flow, a lot of things that change. Could you bolt it on and maybe not tune for it? I guess, but I would say that, you know, you'd really want to do that. Again, another little side note, all the modifications we're talking about here would gain more by tuning for them, but some of these things can be done without a tune, and I think that's a big part of why a lot of people will choose them. Warranties play a big deal too. You know, I know a lot of you guys don't want to mess with your warranty, and I'm just gonna, I don't want to break anybody's hearts here, but I'm gonna just, I've been asked this question so many times that I've come to a realization, and my realization is this: if you don't want to worry about your warranty and you're just really worried about the warranty, just don't modify the car. Just leave it alone. Change the cat back out, get a little better sound out of it, do some cosmetic stuff that won't affect your warranty. But performance-wise, guys, depending on who your dealer is and depending on the relationship you have with that dealer, when you start messing with this stuff, there's a chance that stuff might not be covered in the event something happens. Some dealers are just looking for every chance they can to get out of it. I'm gonna give a little dirty dealer secret here that a lot of dealerships probably don't want me to give you, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. If you go to a dealership and they just happen to be having a really bad warranty month, meaning like they've got a lot of warranty work in the shop and their numbers are not good and all those kind of things, and they don't want another warranty repair, or the workflow is such that they don't need another warranty repair, a lot of that stuff comes into play. So you may get a dealership on a day where they would maybe have otherwise gone like, oh, okay, we can warranty that, it's fine. They just might not do it that day depending on where they're at in the month. So there are so many things that play into it. Service manager, service advisor, the tech working on the car, where they're at in their month. Like I said, all these different things play into those decisions. And I have been in dealerships for a long time, so trust me when I say this, that is absolutely the case. So again, if you're not willing to make that or take that chance, just don't do performance modifications. put a cat back on it, get a little deeper sound maybe, but don't mess with stuff like that, because if you don't want to take the chance, don't take the chance. I talked about something that's kind of lead me into my next modification that I wanted to discuss a little bit, and that's exhaust systems. Guys, your cat backs and axle backs are amazing because they make the car sound the way you want it to sound. I have done one on almost every car I've ever owned. In my earlier RedRacer days, when I had my Z24 Cavaliers, sometimes I just put a muffler in it and didn't do a whole cat back. And again, that was just for sound, so I get it. And I'm not saying don't do them, because I do them on every car I have. Having said that, if you're doing it for performance, that's the wrong modification. It's probably about as bad a bang for your buck modification as there is on the market. So when you do it, and I do think you should do it for sound. Don't do it for performance, because there's very little to be gained. Maybe you lose a little bit of weight with something lighter. Maybe you get 4 or 5 horse, 6 horse out of it, maybe. But it's just not a good bang for your buck as far as power is concerned. But again, I do it to all mine. I love the way my cars sound with them. That kind of transitions into, since we're already talking about exhaust, headers, long tube headers. There are good long tube headers out there, and there are not good long tube headers out there. And this would be my recommendation. This is another one of those that on the 6th gen, it's not quite the bang for your buck it used to be on a 5th gen. You know, I remember 5th gens with a tune, you were like 30, 40 horsepower and some torque gained by going to a long tube header. You're not going to see quite that on a 6th gen. Typically, it's more like in the 20 range, 20 to 30 range, because these cars had a tri-Y manifold on them from the factory, so they were more efficient, they flowed better, they made better power. So again, I've done them on my car. Now we have cast manifolds because it's twin turbo, but when I was supercharged, I ran the Cook's long tube headers. I loved the sound. We got excellent performance out of them. I liked them. And, but again, pricing and tuning and everything that goes into it, you're just not going to see quite the gains you're going to see with some of these other modifications. If you're going to do intake and throttle body and all these things, then headers are exponentially more productive, because you're, more air in, more air out, so there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. So making these videos, in my opinion, is tricky, because each person's car is going to be set up different. And depending on what you called and told me your setup was, my recommendations could absolutely change. So if some of you guys are watching this video saying, I've talked to you on the phone and that's not what you told me, it's because your situation was probably a little bit different. Your setup was probably a little bit different. But generally speaking, that's where I would stand on the majority of these modifications, okay? E85, guys, I'm going to hit on one that I think is a huge one that you should do. And I've got a video about E85. A lot of you guys have probably already watched it. If you haven't, I'll run it across the top of the screen here. E85 is a pretty dang good modification, guys. The sensors are like 350 bucks. You're going to have to tune for it. So depending on where you go, you're probably another $400 to $600. Your good tuners are probably going to be on the higher end of that number. You're talking about, let's call it 850 to 950. So 850 to $1,000 to put flex fuel in the car. But you're going to see gains of like 30, 40 wheel horsepower. So, I mean, that's a big deal. That's a lot of gain for that money. So as far as headers and all these different things and all the modifications you could do, bang for your buck, E85 is about as good as it gets. So another asterisk or another side note to this one is going to be, do some research in your area about how readily available E85 is. If you can't get it, it's not going to be super cost effective to like try and buy drums of it and stuff. I've looked into it a whole bunch of times, and more times than not, you're $4 a gallon or more, and it's kind of a pain, and it's just, it kind of, I think, negates a lot of the gain you get by putting it on. But if you can get your hands on E85, guys, E85 is a phenomenal upgrade. I would absolutely run E85, but again, warranty things, you start running E85 in your car and you got a flex fuel sensor on it and you already retuned the car, that's where, if you've got not a good dealership, or you don't have a good relationship rather with a dealership, that's one of those that you'll be in a tricky area too. So again, if you don't like dealing with the warranty stuff, just don't do this stuff. But lastly, guys, I'm going to finish this up. I was going to try to keep this around 10, and I can see that we're getting close. In any scenario where you guys are looking at spending the kind of money you're going to spend on headers or on even E85 or all these different things, you start adding all this stuff up, and we're talking thousands. And in my opinion, once we're talking thousands, this is my advice. Save your pennies a little bit longer and go boost. Just forced induction's amazing. There's nothing you're going to do to your car that will give you the satisfaction that boost gives you. Whether it be twin turbo, which I recommend, maybe not JDP would recommend right now because my car has been a huge pain, but we're working through that, and I think we've just about got her nailed down. Positive displacement superchargers are amazing. I know there's guys out there that are going to say Pro Charger is the way to go, but regardless of what it is, guys, I'm going to say boost is absolutely by far and away the best modification you can make on your car. if you're gonna spend all this money anyway, like I said, my opinion, you go big or go home. And I've never done anything on any car that I ever loved more than doing boost on this car. That's the most satisfying modification I've ever done was boost. But again, guys, warranty stuff, you're taking, you know, you're taking the bull by the horns, so to speak, and you're really kind of in control of things. And in the event that you have an engine go bad, like my engine did, we sent cylinders 1 and 2 out the side. That engine was on me. I had to buy an engine for this car. So I knew that going in. I knew I was kind of dancing with the devil a little bit, and I lost that one. But it ultimately led to me having the car build up to what I believe is the baddest 6th-gen Camaro in the country. So, you know, all is well that ends well. But again, if you guys aren't willing to, you know, dance that line, if you're not willing to take that chance, just don't do this stuff. But in the comments down below, guys, let me know the stuff that I missed, because I know there's probably things that you guys would recommend that I didn't talk about. I love hearing from you guys. The comments are always amazing. I'm always getting stuff that maybe I didn't think about, or that maybe could be looked at a little different light. And again, everybody's scenario is different. Everybody's situation is a little bit different than the next. So, guys, I love making these videos. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to make these videos. The channel is growing by the day. I thank you guys all so much, like always. Please, guys, like and subscribe if you like what you saw here today. Tell your friends. Jared, RedRacer Video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.